Joni Lamb accuses Susie Lamb of having a Jezebel spirit. Yes, you heard that right. A moment that many wish they hadn't seen, and even more wish they understood better. Welcome to Jeff New. If you're new here, don't forget to hit the notification bell to subscribe and stay updated. And to all my amazing subscribers, thank you so much for your support. Was caught on camera, or at the very least, echoed across social media and ministry circles like thunder in a Sunday service. One of the most familiar faces in Christian television, Joni Lamb, publicly accused her former daughter-in-law, Susie Lamb, of being under the influence of a Jezebel spirit, a term not only spiritually loaded but socially damning in the evangelical community. What sparked this? What hidden tensions erupted into the open? And more importantly, what does this say about Daystar, its legacy, and the deeply personal and spiritual conflicts now spilling into the public eye? This is not your average family squabble. This is not just a disagreement behind closed doors. This is a collision of power, belief, and betrayal that's being broadcast before the watching eyes of millions, an unfolding spiritual drama where the lines between truth, hurt, and manipulation blur dangerously. And if you ever wondered how spiritual warfare, emotional trauma, and unresolved family battles mix behind ministry platforms, you're about to find out. Because we're not just talking gossip. We're unpacking a battle that could reshape how many see the people behind Daystar, the influence they hold, and what happens when personal loyalty collides with spiritual principle. Let's dig into this controversy that's got the Christian world gasping, and question what spirit is really at work here, when love meets the spotlight and turns. It all came to a head when Joni Lamb accused Susie, the former wife of her son Jonathan, of operating under a Jezebel spirit, an accusation that, in Christian charismatic circles, is akin to calling someone a manipulator, seductress, and spiritual saboteur all in one breath. The term Jezebel spirit isn't used lightly. It evokes images of betrayal, seduction, deceit, and spiritual rebellion. So, when a mother-in-law publicly brands someone this way, especially someone who was once part of her family, it's not just a personal attack. It's a nuclear-level spiritual condemnation. And Susie? She didn't stay silent. She clapped back hard, calling out the hypocrisy in Joni's own marriage to Doug Weiss, a man who was reportedly married for over 30 years to his wife Lisa before stepping into this new relationship. According to Susie and others defending her, Lisa was a faithful, godly woman who begged Doug not to leave, and who never committed adultery. That's significant, because Matthew 19, verse 9, gives one main reason for divorce: sexual immorality. So if Doug's previous marriage didn't dissolve on those biblical grounds, does that not, by the same logic, make Joni's current marriage spiritually questionable? Susie seems to think so, and she's backing her words with scripture, even if the evangelical elites refuse to listen. But the scandal doesn't stop at theology. It's wrapped in years of family tension, ministry politics, and what some are calling an orchestrated smear campaign. Susie says Joni went around to multiple ministers and pastors, planting the seed that she, Susie, was a Jezebel, discrediting her voice before she even had a chance to tell her story. According to Susie, this wasn't just about family. It was about control, image, and influence. And Marcus Rogers, a known online pastor and spiritual commentator, took Joni's side, attacking Susie and her husband Jonathan publicly, saying he needed to man up and control his wife, a statement many have called misogynistic and spiritually abusive. Behind the scenes, it appears that power dynamics, who gets to speak and who must stay silent, are just as important as biblical principles. So who's telling the truth? Or perhaps the better question is, what version of truth is being allowed to survive in the ecosystem of Christian media? Biblical perspective, discerning spirits, and true righteousness. To understand the weight of the Jezebel spirit accusation, we must revisit 1 Kings 16-21 and Revelation 2, verse 20. Jezebel, the Phoenician wife of King Ahab, was known for leading Israel into idolatry, persecuting prophets, and wielding manipulative influence over her husband and nation. But the term Jezebel spirit has also been misused, often weaponized against women who speak up, resist control, or challenge authority. It's become a shorthand for rebellion, even when the so-called rebellion is actually righteous resistance. Scripture warns about calling good evil and evil good, Isaiah 5, verse 20. If Susie is standing on Matthew 19, verse 9, calling out what she perceives as unbiblical divorce and remarriage, is she not defending biblical integrity? Even more so, Matthew 7, verses 1 to 5 urges us to remove the plank from our own eye before judging others. Is it possible that Joni, in her zeal to protect her image and legacy, fell into a trap of spiritual projection? And when Jesus confronted the Pharisees, he often rebuked them for outward righteousness while neglecting justice, mercy, and faithfulness. Matthew 23, verse 23. Could this be another example of that, where image has been prioritized over truth? God does not look at the outward appearance but the heart. 1 Samuel 16, verse 7. So perhaps the question isn't whether Susie speaks perfectly or forcefully, but whether her heart is aligned with God's truth, even if it's inconvenient for Daystar's narrative. Conclusion: the real battle behind the cameras. In a world of Christian television, million-dollar ministries, and carefully curated public images, it's easy to forget that behind the smiles and sermons are real people, hurting, healing, failing, and fighting. What unfolded between Joni and Susie is more than a family drama. It's a mirror reflecting a much deeper issue within modern Christianity. Who hold the power to define truth, and what happens when someone challenges it? If Susie is guilty of anything, it's not fitting into the mold. It's speaking out, resisting the narrative, and refusing to play the role of silent victim, whether you believe she's right or not. You can't deny the courage it takes to stand against a powerful media and ministry machine. And if Joni truly believes Susie is being influenced by a Jezebel spirit, the biblical instruction is to pray, counsel, and restore in gentleness, not to silence slander and exile. The truth is, the church has been wounded for too long by power struggles masquerading as spiritual battles. It's time we start asking harder questions, not just about Susie or Joni, but about how our spiritual communities handle conflict, truth, and accountability. Does this controversy expose a Jezebel? Or does it expose a system where women who refuse to stay quiet are branded as witches? In the end, only God knows the hearts. But for the rest of us, maybe it's time we listen, test all spirits, 1 John 4, verse 1, and learn to discern more than just what we're told on Christian TV. Because when spiritual labels are thrown around like stones, we better be sure we're not the ones casting the first one without sin.